Richard Himmer here. Statistically, I'm a disaster. There is nothing about my life on paper that says I should have a marriage of 35 years, thriving with 5 boys. 4 are Eagle Scouts, 1's a Life Scout. I've been their Scoutmaster their entire lives, with a beautiful woman who's my soulmate, who's everything to me, and we get along marvelously. Why? Because at age 2.5, my father abandoned me. My mother had to leave. We moved from one state to another. At age 8, she remarried. This man adopted me. Wonderful man. But at age 10, he was killed in Vietnam. Abandoned again. Now I'm responsible as a 10-year-old to raise my sisters. And then my mother remarries again. The man doesn't even exist as far as any kind of emotional support. And 1 year later, they're already separated. They have a child. And now I'm doing parent-teacher conferences as a teenager. I'm changing diapers. I'm running my sisters to and fro because it's my responsibility to run the house. No childhood. Completely left. Have you ever met 2 people that individually, they get along great? I mean, you get along well with them. They're wonderful people. Put them in the same room and it's fireworks. It's like 2 Roman candles shooting at each other. Well, statistically, again, that's how my wife and I should have been. I come from a completely different background. As a matter of fact, the minute I met her, within 1 minute's time, I violated a family rule that nobody knew about unless you were in the family. Within 30 minutes that evening, I had violated sufficient rules that before I got engaged, my wife received 2 handwritten letters from my future mother-in-law. We need to dump that guy. He needs to get out of the family. She shares this with me the night we get engaged. Yeah, I'm pumped to move into this. Well, let me share an idea with you. Rather than talk to you about in 30 minutes time all the disasters of my life, I'd like to springboard that into what worked. And I'm going to show you kind of a map of why it worked, because I had established rules of engagement early in my life, but I didn't exactly know what I was doing. Today, as a PhD in psychology, I can now explain to you what's going on, and I'd love to share this with you in a story form and analyze my maladaptive behavior given my history. So there'll be a quick heads up of what it was like for me, and then I'm going to walk you through just a narrative of what happens when my wife and I kind of get together and we're started fighting a little bit, where my maladaptive behavior surfaces, her maladaptive surfaces, but we are able to work this together because we learned from our past so we can move forward into the future. So let me take you over to the board. 4 S's. All of this, if done correctly, will get to my definition of love. That's what's critical. It's this, how I defined it, which set the stage for a thriving marriage instead of 3 or 4 marriages with total disaster relationship. Number 1 is safe. Is the space between you and that other person, whether it's a friend, a child, a spouse, a coworker, is it safe? And what does safe mean? Because that's critical. Next, seen. In America, our culture is when we talk to someone, we're talking because we want to tell them what we're thinking. That's exactly the opposite of what needs to happen. You want to have a good relationship with someone, they have to feel seen, which means we're going to have to listen, if just for a short amount of time. So instead of listening with the intent to respond, we listen with the intent to understand. So, safe, it's good space. You could talk to someone there. Seen means they go away thinking you heard them and you understand them. Next. Have you ever talked to someone who's kind of upset, out of sorts, angry? Well, it's a part of their brain that's being triggered at that moment. The ability to soothe the situation, which requires emotional intelligence, something I never learned as a kid, but my wife had a lot of. That's number 3, soothe. And everything leads to the final. Secure. What would it be like if your relationship was based on mutual trust and respect in your marriage? Not love. Not just liking someone, not being affirmed or showing affect. Love, as Hollywood defines it, as the world defines it, is a disaster. 50% of people who get married divorce. Well, I'm going to share with you how to get this way just in a story. By telling you a story, and the one I've got picked out for you is about our dog. If you love dogs, which I'm still trying to figure that out, but if you love dogs, I have a Great Dane. Sorry, that was my mistake. I have a Great Dane, and it's our second one. And the entire story is epitomized in this huge argument my wife and I had over our Great Dane by the name of Astrid. You want to have a blast in 30 minutes and learn a very deep level of principles? Give me a call. We're going to have a good time. We'll see you soon.